This is Algebra 1, Semester 2. This is the third unit called Quadratics. This is lesson number 17. It's called Completing the Square Practice. It's on creatormath.com under the Geometry tab. You might have to type in creatormath.weebly.com to get there from Google. The instructions are copy the following problems into your composition book on the correct pages according to the table of contents with the notes for those pages from creatormath.com. So completing the square can be kind of complicated. You definitely need notes like you do for all of the problem sets in this class. Let's model finding those notes, because sometimes that can be a challenge. All right, let's see here. Let's go back. So this is creatormath.weebly.com. Type that into Google. You should be able to get here. Here's what the home page looks like. That's how you know you're on the right site. Go to Algebra 1. Pass by the vocabulary. This is all vocabulary here. Get to Semester 2. This entire table of contents should have been copied into your composition book on pages 2 through 6 long ago. Every page gets copied. Every line gets copied in. It should be about 2 to 3 pages. We are down on Quadratics, and we're way down on number 17, completing the square. Here are the pages, and please check the actual table of contents. Don't watch this video for the actual page numbers. Go look at the actual table of contents. Here are the notes problems, and this is where the video solution will be for these problems we're doing right now. If you click notes, this is the notes that you need to help you understand what completing the square is. Mine, sometimes I have to load twice just to let you know. And it says Quadratics 17, kind of hard to see, but here you go. Completing the square is we're going to add b over 2 squared to both sides. Here's an example. We're going to start out with a trinomial, and we're going to factor it. This is using a method called completing the square. We move the tail term over to the other side of an equals. And that means this whole thing is equal to 0, right? That's part of the understanding that we're finding roots, is we have to make f of x or y equal to 0. So by placing the whole thing equal to 0, then we move over the tail, so we add it to both sides, it shows up. Then we add this b divided by 2 to both sides. By the time we put it here and here, we get a number on the right, 36. And then we can factor this left side. You'll see it pop up every time. We're able to factor it, interestingly. And then we'll have a plus minus on the right, we'll get a 3 plus minus, and we will find the actual roots to this problem. All right, so these examples are very important. I can do it on the screen for you now, but it's very important to write them into your composition book. Here's some of the vocabulary: completing the square, b over 2 squared added to both sides, factoring, FOIL, quadratic is anything raised to the power 2. What else is in here? Just some information from class that day, which you do not need to know and do not need to copy. So let's start the problem set. The problem set says, let's start here. Using the standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c, identify a, b, and c for the given function. Because this is lesson 17, we've done quite a few of these before. We know what to do for this. If this is our function here, we know that there's something in front of the x squared, which has got to be a 1, so a equals 1 here. We know that what's in front of the x is a plus 6, so b equals plus 6. We know that the tail here is c, so c equals minus 27. So that's what they're asking us to do. We're just identifying a, b, and c. Circle the right one, 1, 6, negative 27. The next one is the same. 1, negative 14, positive 48. 1, negative 14, positive 48. And I've done it before, so this is kind of review. This is just setting us up to get ready for completing the square. Because we need that b, we're going to divide it by 2 and add it to both sides. So yeah, divide it by 2, square it, and add it to both sides. I knew something I was saying was wrong, and my brain just sort of glitched there a second. Using the standard format, ax squared plus bx plus c. Let's do it again. A is 1, b is negative 14, and c is positive 45. 1, negative 14, positive 45. 1, positive 2, negative 63. 1, positive 2, negative 63. That's identifying a, b, and C. And notice the x squared is not included, it's the number in front of it. Notice the x is not included, it's the number in front of it, including the sign. Here's another one. 1, positive 22, positive 121. 1, positive 22, positive 121. We don't list the positives there, but if there's negatives, you certainly do. So sometimes it helps for our students to say positive. That way they know when a negative shows up, they list that one too. All right, using completing the square, that's the name of this factoring method, to find the roots of the following quadratics, what value is added to both sides of the equation? Hint, the completing the square method uses, and I'd like this to be a capital here, all right? So what number is added to both sides? Let's look at what we got here. We're looking for b. b in this case equals positive 6. We want to take b and divide it by 2. So we take 6 divided by 2, that gets us 3. Then we want to square it. 3 squared equals 9. So we're going to add 9 to both sides of the equation. So 6 divided by 2 squared is 9 added to both sides. This is setting us up to do the completing the square method. It's not asking for us to do it completely right now. It's just getting us in the understanding of the prior pieces of information. So let's do it again. What do they want us to add to both sides? Let's look at b. b is a negative 14. Negative 14 divided by 2 equals negative 7. Negative 7 squared equals positive 49. So we're going to add 49 to both sides. Right, so negative 14, there we go, 49 added to both sides. Sorry, got a little distracted there. All right, what value is going to be added to both sides? So we're looking at negative 14. This is going to be the same thing. It's going to be negative 14 divided by 2 is negative 7, and squared is positive 49. I can start to do it in my mind as long as I go back and just look at the steps. And just because we're kind of new to this, let's do it again. It's b over 2, and we're squaring it, right? So b is negative 14 divided by 2 is negative 7 squared. Negative 7 times negative 7 is positive 49. 49 is being added to both sides. What value is added to both sides? All right, there's a positive 2. Positive 2 divided by 2 equals 1. 1 squared equals 1. We're going to add 1 to both sides. All right, 22. Well, 22 divided by 2 is 11. 11 squared equals 121. We're going to add 121 to both sides. All right, are they going to make us do any problems here? Maybe not. Maybe they're just asking what we add to both sides. What value is added to both sides? All right, well, this one's a negative 22 divided by 2 equals negative 11, but negative 11 when squared, negative times negative is positive, goes back to 121 added to both sides. All right, that's interesting. Maybe it's in a future lesson they're going to ask us to go ahead and solve for this to show the actual completing the square method. What value is added to both sides? Well, let's see here. Okay, they got a little bit interesting on us. There's no middle term, so b is equal to 0. So 0 divided by 2, you guys, is 0, and 0 squared is 0, right? We're not going to add nothing to both sides. 0. Okay, so interestingly enough, we'll see if next lesson they ask us to go ahead and complete the square and do the actual method. So this is, follow the title here. It's Algebra 1, Semester 2. It's the 3rd unit, Quadratics. This is the 17th lesson called Completing the Square Practice on CreatorMath.com under the Geometry tab. I hope this helps.